hello everyone again. This is. I haven't watched this. I watched like maybe 5 minutes of it, just to be honest, or transparent. This is about a stalker up for parole. So, let's listen to the nonsense and lies together.
I never once said that I want to go bother her or harass her. I never once said I want to go.
I get it, but being in her neighborhood with binoculars and a wig and a camera and walking by her house is scary. It's not okay.
Look, I understand that it's not okay to be there, and I don't want to be there. I really
okay, but when you're
don't want.
If you don't want to do something, you don't do it. Unless you have some uncontrollable mental illness that is very hard to treat, there's no reason for most people, even if you have a mental issue, to do something they don't want to do. Your mental illness would have to be so severe that it's just so very hard to treat. Which those do exist, usually schizophrenia, bipolar, where it's very severe, not just, I shouldn't say run-of-the-mill, but, there's people with schizophrenia and bipolar where it's easier to manage. You get the point.
Don't want to harass her, that's harassing.
When I say I don't want to harass her, that's harassing?
When you're in the neighborhood with binoculars and a wig and a camera, that's harassing to her. You can't do that.
Okay, I don't think this is productive because I've already told you I don't want to be around her.
Cache County.
Just to let you know, this man has lost parental rights. I mean, if someone is appearing in a wig and glasses or whatever, binoculars and weirdness, there's a strong reason why. And won't leave people alone and all that good stuff, or bad stuff. Yeah, so that's what the parole hearing is about. I just realized I had been talking with the recorder on pause. So you missed all the craziness and the confusion. I'm still very confused. But I apologize. At least it's recording now. Let's get into it.
Like guilty to stalking,
yes.
Violation of a stalking injunction?
Yes.
And then when we look at I have sort of a summary of your psych review. And there's some risk factors there, which are extremely rigid, literal, and fixed in his thinking. Believes his offense behaviors are justified. Repeated stalking and violations of protective orders. Presents with delays in social communication, atypical lifestyle, no stable residence, limited family support. But then it has protective factors too. So these are things in your favor. Does not have a severe and persistent mental illness, participates in education, is not a management problem, is creative and inventive, has vocational skills, has one supportive friend who provides him work. And then it looks like you've basically been diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum.
I said, and I'll say it again now since this bitch is recording, he would fit into the category of an incompetent stalker. Because not all of them, but a lot of them won't. They're known for having problems with social cues. Not all of them have autism or are on the spectrum, but they can be. So, and whoever diagnosed him, because they're bleeping out the word diagnose, or diagnosis, that he does not have a mental illness. You can be crazy and behave bizarrely and not have a mental illness.
Well, none of that is correct, but I understand that it's
it would explain a lot of your risk factors.
Well, but I'm not autistic, but I understand that that's his opinion.
You can be on the spectrum without, it's a wide spectrum, right?
Yeah, I understand how autism works, as I've been a coach and a caretaker for people with special needs. And so I understand what Asperger's and autism is.
So you disagree with that diagnosis?
That's correct.
Okay. What do you think's going on?
Well, to keep it really simple and as short as possible, I have been bullied by Sterling, my foster dad, since I graduated high school. He wanted to have grandkids, but his wife couldn't have kids, and so he wanted to take my kids as his grandkids, but he wasn't my dad. So he said, if you return to your biological family, I'll destroy you. And so he did. And so he's been following me, stalking me, photographing me, planting evidence.
And yet, he's the one being caught with wigs and binoculars and cameras snooping around some woman. His ex. I hope you got in here, alright, I'll say it again, that he has no parental rights to these children. They were severed, either by him or someone. And, yes, and there was a divorce. So, this woman is his ex.
And just trying to destroy me ever since high school so he could take my kids. And so this autism thing is just an excuse.
Well, let me go back. You didn't have kids in high school, right?
No, this was after I graduated high school.
Okay.
That my foster dad said, if you return to your biological family, I'll destroy you.
Okay.
And so he did.
Why were you, let me ask you a few questions. Why were you in foster care?
Because my parents divorced and my mom remarried and my dad didn't like my new stepdad. So he took us camping and left us for the state to find us so that we could be taken into state custody to get us away from our mom and stepdad. So, but my stepdad never did anything to me. My dad prevented, based on what record my stepdad had, my biological dad wanted to keep us away from him. So,
even if his biological father was as evil as the day is long, his parental rights would be in jeopardy, not the mother's or the stepdad's. Helps when you live on planet Earth. Helps.
he prevented anything from happening, and nothing's ever happened to me.
Let me ask you about schooling. When you were in school, were you in regular classes? Were you in special education? Did you go through school?
I was with all the rest of my grade level in all my classes. I took one resource English class to help me with testing, but that's the only reason. It was not because of any disability.
Okay. And then you obviously get married and have children, get divorced. So the reason you're in prison, right, is for basically not leaving that woman alone.
That's correct.
Why are you not leaving her alone?
Because she has my children and they're living with Rick, who...
Let me stop you really quick.
Yeah.
Your rights have been terminated, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you do not have parental rights with the children anymore.
That's correct. But as
How old are they now?
14 and 16.
Okay.
But as a citizen, caring about those kids and knowing that they're in harm's way, I sought to produce evidence of the risk factors that I know exist. And that was the purpose for my violating the stalking injunction.
Okay, so you don't get to do that. You've got to leave her alone.
I understand I am not trying to bother her, but I do understand the risk that the kids are in. And so I'm not saying it's okay to do what I do, but nobody has listened to the fact that the kids are in harm's way, and I'm not trying to bother my ex-wife at all.
But you understand it is bothering her. I mean, she went to the courts. She's gotten protective orders. She's gotten stalking injunctions.
Yes.
And this is what your psyche Vala is saying, is you have excuses or explanations for it, but we can't release you if we think you're going to continue to bother her.
I understand. And so in my declaration, I've set out a plan and a solution.
So what is that?
That I'm building Tree City. It's a city for people that have been divorced and been through hardships, that they can go and we can work as a community on our individual and community goals. And That's what I need to focus on, so that I'm not thinking about my kids, but I'm thinking about helping other people. I think that's the best solution to keep me away from my ex-wife's city, as I'll have a lot of responsibility to look out for my community in building that city. And so that's my plan and goal, and I believe that's the solution.
Okay. So one of the things when we're looking at what to do with you, whether to release you, where to release you to, how can we be sure that you aren't going
You can't. That's the thing.
to violate again?
I need to have a caseworker that follows up on my concerns, because I've never had anybody to follow up anything that I know to be true. So nobody listens to me, and then I've been feeling like it's all in my court to try to do something to protect my kids, because
I'm fluent in stalkerese, so let me translate. I need a caseworker who will do everything that I want them to do, whether it's ethical, legal, moral, or not, and just do my bidding. That's what he's saying.
nobody listens to me. But if there was somebody that could give me information on how my kids are doing, that they're doing well in school, that they're safe, that there's no harm to them, and that they will check on my concerns, then having somebody to talk to that I can call and say, hey, I'm concerned about this. This has been on my mind lately. Can somebody just check on it? I have a bad feeling about this, or I have reason to believe that this is happening. Can somebody check?
The problem is with your rights terminated, you don't get information about them. I mean, if there's issues with them, then other people are going to have to deal with that.
Yes,
You don't get to deal with that anymore.
I understand.
And that's, if you're wondering about the kids, that goes to your wife, your ex-wife too. And that's where the stalking type behavior comes into effect.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm suggesting that there be somebody, a caseworker that I can call on the phone.
What he's suggesting is stalking in the third person, where the stalker uses a third party to then follow around, harass, bother, be a flying monkey, if you will, the person, so they're, quote-unquote, they're being the stalker, their hands remain clean. That's still illegal.
Say, this has been on my mind, these are my concerns, and I understand that nobody's going to give me any information, but having somebody that I can call and say, hey, I'm worried about this, can somebody talk
That's what a therapist is for.
to me? And
What about therapy?
well, no, that's a totally different ballpark of, it's not that I need to be reassured by somebody that doesn't know anything about my kids. It's that I need somebody who can make sure my kids are safe.
But no one's going to be able to do that because you don't get any information. No one gets to bother your wife or kids based on.
But they don't have to do that if they can go to the court and be like, okay, check on if they're adopted, if this, you know.
You don't get that information anymore.
I'm not asking for information. What I'm saying is that somebody that I can express my.
That's exactly what he wants. He's playing a game. He said he doesn't want a therapist. He wants a person connected to his ex-wife and kids who's going to stalk in the third person. That's what he wants. And again, it's still legal.
Concerns too.
But even that person can't go look into things. So
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I want somebody to give me information.
You are.
I know that I mentioned that would be nice, but I understand that I don't get that. I'm not missing that point. I understand I don't get that information. What I'm saying is that I know a lot of things about what's happening there, and I have real concerns. And so it doesn't seem right for anyone to just let the kids go through all that they're going through and not do anything to help them.
So, I mean, are the kids in school?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's lots of people who are seeing the kids. You don't get to be involved anymore at all.
I understand that.
And if you do, you're at risk of violating again.
Yes.
So our concern with any release is you still have this mindset that you sort of want to meddle with your ex-wife and your children, that where parental rights are terminated. I am telling you, you can't do that.
Okay, so I've said many times now, I understand I don't get to do that. I understand I don't get to have information. I understand I don't get to be there, and I understand there's a protective order.
And are you willing to follow that?
Yes, and so in my declaration, I describe very clearly that I have a plan and a solution, that this is what I need to be doing to be distracted and to be actively focused on something different, and that what I'm saying would be nice is to have somebody that I can talk to, and that is legal.
That's called a therapist. What you are wanting, and again, I speak fluent stalkerese, is flying monkeys that he can poison the minds of to go harass his ex. Things would not have gotten this way if he'd just get some help with whatever is wrong with him. He's not mentally ill, because he's not been diagnosed with a mental illness, and the professional said he doesn't have a mental illness. So whatever his issue is, which is probably some type of personality disorder, I don't know, but if it's not a mental illness, then there's help for autism. There's help for a lot of things. There just is.
And that is my right, to have somebody to express my concerns with. And so whether that's a therapist or whatever
And
that
that's
is.
what I think is probably would be more beneficial, is doing it in a therapeutic setting.
So he'll use the therapist as the flying monkey to contact his ex. Gotcha.
But here's why I don't believe that that's effective. Because the therapist wants to tell me that there's something wrong with me and put me on. But there's nothing wrong with anybody that has humanity and cares about the well-being of society. And when somebody knows that something is wrong and somebody's hurting, it's a citizen's responsibility to report that there's something wrong and somebody is hurting. And that is my responsibility, to inform my government and the law enforcement that there is something wrong, and the law enforcement needs to take that seriously.
See what he's doing? He's already telling you what he's going to do. There's nothing wrong with him. There's no stalker thinks there's anything wrong with him. Unless they're the type who weaponizes mental illness, which, if they're doing that, they have a personality disorder. But anyway, he doesn't want to be told the truth. He doesn't want to be told there's anything wrong with him. He wants flying monkeys. And that's what I believe this whole city garbage is about, is him rising up a bunch of, basically a cult of idiots, useful idiots that he can use, who've also been wronged, or believe they've been wronged, some may have been wronged, who will do his bidding. Then, he said law enforcement and the government, so he's just told you that's what he's going to use. Armchair psychology. Read about it.
That there is something wrong and investigate it. And that's what I'm saying, is being able to have somebody to call, like a caseworker, to tell them, hey, this is a concern I have reason to believe this, and I even have evidence that things like this have happened before. Then can somebody do their job as law enforcement?
Okay, and I know that you do that, that's going to be considered a violation. So
if I go
yes.
if I go to law enforcement and say I have
causing
concern,
law enforcement to go bother your ex-wife and your children. So let's go through what
which is still stalking in the third person. If you use because these types of people, they're tricky. He said it too. Well, it's my right, my legal right. It's not a crime to talk to government and authorities and all this other stuff. So he's going to skirt the law as much as he can, and he's doing it already, or he's done it already. So, and I'm glad she's on to him, whoever she is. But, well, it's not against the law to call the police. And sadly, police, therapists, that's why I'm actually glad he's against going to therapy, because that's exactly what he turned the therapist into. These so-called mental health professionals, who don't know much unless they actually work with people like this, or have gone through things like this. you don't have to go through things. I'm not one of those people, well, you have to go through. No. If you study and observe and listen to people's stories and gather that's how I learn things as well. I've never been in domestic abuse, but I talk to people, I learn and I listen, and I watch documentaries and all this other thought things, and listen to professionals, mental health professionals, social workers, things of that nature, legal professionals, and hear all sides of the coin, and then you have knowledge that way. Not necessarily knowledge of if you're in it, what to do, but like what to look for. Here's these men and women who've been in it. These are all the signs, and if you look at all the signs, a lot of them point to cluster B issues, if not drug addiction, drug addiction, drug addiction. There we go, drug addiction issues. Mental illness can be in there, but not always. It's some cluster B issue, if anything. And if you follow along the lines of everything, you'll see how trying to rush into sex real fast, trying to rush people down the aisle, trying to rush people into their apartment or your apartment, trying to get, all this rush, quick to get you pregnant as a woman, just rush, and putting these fears and thoughts into you, and or enabling things within you, your own insecurities about yourself, and then playing off them and acting like they're helping you even though they're actually hurting you. That's you really, if you've been in a narcissistic or I'll just say the disordered situation, you sort of know how the playbook goes, even if you haven't been in all the situations that disorderment could behold. Because it's sort of the same, it just shows up differently. So, I've never been stalked and unalived, but when I listen to true crime, I see all of okay, here's what this person is doing to get this person lured in and to seem trusting and all this other stuff. Once you know, even if you haven't been through it. But my point is, I don't believe you have to be sent to banned world permanently to know how not to be, unalived. So I just think you have to study and do due diligence, and if you're going to be a proper mental health therapist, be in the field. I don't care how many schizophrenic patients you've dealt with, people with depression, people with anxiety. If you've not talked to a stalker, don't talk to me about stalking. You're not an expert then. If you've not sat in front of a sociopathic individual, don't talk to me. If you've not sat in front of a psychopath, which granted there aren't many of those, or sociopaths, but if you've not done that, don't talk to someone who's come face to face with them and lord a degree over them and act like, oh no, that doesn't follow the overall dynamics. You don't even know what you're talking about. I don't care what you read. I really don't care.
Where would you live if you're released?
So my mom lives in Layton, and I'm gonna go stay with her while my friend sorts out the next job. And my friend he's a real estate agent. He buys properties to be remodeled, and so he's gonna get me into an apartment that he owns that I'm gonna pay rent to. So I'll be there while I work on his other properties.
What have you done for work in the past?
Have you read any of my 100-page?
I read it after today. So
Oh, okay.
I'll look at it. So
yeah, it's all in there. All the answers are in
okay.
that 100 pages.
We only get a 20-minute hearing. So what have you done for work?
I am a contractor and a carpenter, and I build houses. And so...
and then this friend is going to help. We'll buy houses and you'll help remodel them.
Yes.
I don't like that. Not that, the helping room. I don't like that he knows about being handy. I don't like it.
What about any treatment or therapy? Do you plan to do any of that?
Well, I guess what I should have said in the first place is that all of these things that you're asking I've already responded in my letter, and that's why I was a little bit, I'm not disagreeing with you, and I understand that I need to stay away and not bother my ex-wife, and I've explained all that, and that's why I showed a little bit of resistance.
That's okay. I'll read your letter.
Okay.
But I want to give you a chance if there's anything you want to clarify during this hearing.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't contesting what you were saying. I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say that. Yeah.
Literally, you can have, our concern is that this woman, your ex-wife, is a victim of yours. And she's gone to all these lengths for you to leave her alone, and you continue not to leave her alone. So when I consider whether I can give you a parole date and what that looks like, I need to know that you'll leave her alone. And that means not having police harassing her, not having DCFS harass her. You have to pretend like she and those kids do not exist.
That's what I was trying to tell you, is that in order to stay away and to have all these concerns off my mind, I need to follow the plan that I set in my...
And I get that. You come up with a plan that's going to keep your mind, and, you know, you're going to be actively pursuing something that takes your mind off of it.
Yeah, and I get that. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that I'm trying to remove these concerns from my mind by talking to somebody. And when I say that, I know that you think that I'm saying that they need to go to her to bother her about it, but that's not at all what I'm saying.
But I mean, if you report something to law enforcement, so if you say, hey, I have these concerns, whatever they are, to law enforcement, then law enforcement has to go bother your ex-wife and say, hey, we got this report. That's harassing at some point, and that will end up having you violated again. So you need to understand that you literally have to pretend like they don't exist. And I know that, I'm not saying that's easy, and I don't know the background. But for us to consider releasing you, we need to know that you're going to leave her alone.
Yes, and so in order to do that, she needs to leave me alone. And when I say that, it's because I keep getting phone calls from law enforcement, and nobody's there, and they do this all the time. They call me, nobody's there, and all of a sudden a cop is there at my door. I could be on the other side of the planet.
Okay, I can't deal with that, right?
And so if he's harassing me, how do I stop them from violating me by harassing me?
Doesn't have any control over her. All we can do is look at where to release you, how to release you, what the parameters of that are going to be. And I'm just making it very clear that you cannot have anything to do with her or her children, including contacting law enforcement or DCFS or harassing her in that way. That's just going to be, that is going to be strict compliance. And when we talk about, when we look at your...
And we can already tell from him, that's not going to happen. He's not, he doesn't like the answers he's getting, which is a part of the stalker's mindset. They will not listen to reason. The answer is not, it's like it's like Cyrex. The answer is not me getting offline. The answer is not me not talking to children and trying to lure them into my predations. The answer is people should just stop reporting that I'm trying to predate on children. That's the answer. So with the stalker, the solution is not that I should stop stalking. The answer is people should just let me stalk in peace.
You're a rigid thinker. I'm making this as clear as I can make it. You can't do that, or you'll end up back here.
Okay.
All right. We only have 20 minutes for the hearing, and our time is up. I'm going to just give you the last word. What else do you think I need to know? I'll read your letter.
Okay. Because I never once said that I want to go bother her or harass her. I never once said I want to go...
I get it, but being in her neighborhood with binoculars and a wig and a camera and walking by her house is scary. It's not okay.
Look,
that's something a serial killer would do. A very creepy serial killer. All of them aren't creepy, but the ones who don masks and faces of people and body parts of people and wearing their skin, it's weird.
I understand that it's not okay to be there, and I don't want to be there. I really
okay, but when you're saying you don't want to harass her, that's harassing.
When I say I don't want to harass her, that's harassing?
when you're in the neighborhood with binoculars and a wig and a camera. That's harassing to her. You can't do that.
Okay, I don't think this is productive because
Okay.
I've already told you I don't want to be around her.
Okay. And that's the assurance we're going to need for you to be released. All right, I'm going to conclude this hearing. Good luck.
All right.
That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad I got through it and actually recorded while I was talking. I will see you all later. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, night, weekend. Well, it is almost the weekend. Whenever you see this.